Eben, thank you. Welcome to the Saxon Hotel. Welcome to Johannesburg.
Thank you very much, Lloyd. I feel very welcome. It's wonderful to be back at the Saxon.
How many years has it been?
I don't eat here every Thursday, but it's been 12 years since I've been here. Yeah. Which
12 years.
doesn't mean that I don't like you guys. It's just I've been a little bit busy.
I know you've been a busy man, man.
Yeah, too busy, but yeah, it's probably kept me out of a lot of other mischief. So yeah, no, I've been busy number of years, but all good things. Yeah.
Well, thank you for taking the time. I couldn't be more grateful here at the Saxon. We're obviously recording for Tourism News Africa. They are obviously some of the best people to distribute tourism news on the continent. So thank you for agreeing to do this with us.
No, thank you for the platform.
I'm a huge admirer of your journey, and when did you decide to start Sadie Family Wines?
Well, a number of my previous employers convinced me that I was unemployable. That's a good. When more than one person tells you you're pretty unemployable, then that's kind of the journey. But not just that. I think for me at that point in time where I was, I'm very unconditional. I'm tenacious. I don't understand the word compromise. So I needed to create a space in which there will be no compromise, no effort spared, and also not the primary function of the entire activity is not to make money. It was to, and it still is, to make and be involved in something that's truly great, and also to share that journey with people. If you do you can't go on that journey on your own. So you also have a privilege to have a lot of people hopefully go on that journey with yourself. And so the Sadie Family Wines, I created the company in 1999, but effectively only started making the first wines in the year 2000.
Wow. And that was while you were still engaged with Spice Root.
Yes. Spice Root there's a couple of things that I was in the class of 1994, so we finished in 1994, so you could say, and like Mark Kent that started Boekenhout's Kloof and Chris Williams that went to Meerlist and a lot of things, a lot of our class actually achieved much in the South African wine industry, but a lot of that's also got to do with something that's not even related to any of our abilities. We're the oldest qualified new winemakers in the new South Africa.
Wow.
So, when the new South Africa got born, we were that first class that walked into that new South Africa, which meant we were free because we could. Previously you couldn't export wines, you couldn't produce different styles of wines. Things were very much locked down. A lot of people actually lost the imagination of what wine can be. And so I was studying at Stellenbosch, and it was actually Mark Kent Mark was a little bit older than the rest of us. By a notch, and Mark already was drinking very, very good wines. He was working in restaurants and stuff. He came from the gastronomical dimension, and he introduced a lot of us with some of the people that had influence in his life, introduced us to great bottles of wine. And, it only took one or two great bottles of wine, and once I had that taste, I was hooked, and I'm still hooked. Wow. And I'm a proper wine nerd. Okay. Like, on nerd level, I'm proper wine nerd. Yeah. So, and then, that kind of shaped the direction of my life. And I realized that you have to surround yourself and get into the space of greatness, because what is greatness and how does it work? How does it operate? How does that philosophy stand? So, a very short story. I played a little bit of rugby at school, but I was tiny at school. Yeah. So after a broken arm, a collarbone shot, couple of broken noses, my mom said, Eben, maybe this rugby thing's not for you. So I took to cricket and was much better at cricket. And I thought I could play cricket, you know. And then our school organized these professional guys that came down from KwaZulu-Natal, these big English oaks. And we had like a coaching thing, and so we decided we're going to go out on the pitch and we're going to start playing. And they asked who's going to face the first ball. And the whole squad said, no, even you go. Not that I was the best batsman of the group, but they opted for me to go. So this big cricket player, provincial player, said, at what pace should he pitch the first ball? The whole squad said, no, full pace, full tilt. So I stood there at the crease and I watched this guy starting to run up to me. And I remember thinking, he's big.
Yeah.
The ball's gonna come from a much higher point than I'm used to playing with boys of my age.
Yeah.
So I expected the bounce of the ball. I expected to play the ball higher. And then he started running. And I remember the first thing I thought, geez, he's extremely fast.
Yeah.
I didn't expect a big guy to run that fast because I've never seen a big cricket player run.
Yeah.
So he's running up to me, and now I'm like, all that must happen is I shouldn't lose sight of the ball. And I'm just watching the ball in his hand, and his whole figure is blurring out, and I'm just watching that ball. And as his hand came up to this point, just above his head, ready for release, I lost contact with the ball. It was just too fast. And I tried to play the ball, and I missed. He broke the bails, and the wicketkeeper also, that's never seen a ball at that pace, he also mistimed it, and he couldn't catch it, and it winded him.
Oh my God.
The moral of the story is, till that moment, I thought I could play cricket. You know? So the point, it's a simple story, but that little experience took me my entire lifetime because I realized I couldn't play cricket. So, and it's the same thing with wine. You can make wine your whole life in your little environment, with your little story and your little ego and whatever. Yeah. But as soon as you step out of that comfort zone and you start working with the leading wine producers in the world, and you start traveling the amazing, incredible wine regions of the world, and you start tasting the great wines of the world, you actually realize how average you are in the game. And the only way you get out of that state of being average is you need the contact with those norms, and you need to spend time there. You got to put in your time, you got to put in the sweat, the blood, the tears, all those things, and you need to almost forge your way into that world. And you must adopt those philosophies, get all of them into a bundle. And then you need to digest all of that so that it can be nutrition for your thoughts, and you can make your own philosophy and hopefully then produce something out of that. But you can't stay in that philosophical state. Yeah. You need to enact. You need to work. You need to put effort in, and you need to push. And I was just very fortunate that, post 1994, that I could go into the world. Okay. I was free. I could take my South African passport with a little bit of hassle, get visas, get stamped in, and start having that contact. So if I qualified 10 years prior, I would have had a completely different career.
I can imagine that. I remember I was in Spain at some point around 2016, 2017, and I was touring some areas in the Panades. I also toured a little bit of the Ribera del Douro region. But your name kept on coming up. You did some stuff there with the 5 claws, and that's probably where you honed your skills working with Grenache vines and stuff like that. Would you say Spain was the only country you worked in, or there are other countries?
No, many. I first worked in Germany because I thought I could study German the fastest of all the languages. Because you must remember, at this stage, I'm still struggling with English, and I'm still struggling.
You do pretty well at this stage.
Yeah, well, I'm on my 300. I'm around 300 words in already, so it's going to narrow down. It's going to go down fast from here. But no, so Afrikaans to German. I thought it could be done, so I started studying German. It was still on tape decks, tapes into things, into the tape recorder with earphones, sitting in my house here in South Africa, getting ready to leave.
Learning German.
Yeah, learning German. Got there, ended up in the south of Germany where they anyway speak a dialect, so that didn't work because the German, they speak Schwäbisch, which is a very hard dialect. But anyway, went to Germany first because of the German that I then learned in the 6 months. And then the 6 months I was in Germany working. Incredible job, worked alongside incredible people. Then with German, I could go into Austria. Worked in Austria, and then I didn't work there, but then I toured Alsace, which is the northeast of France on the German border. Could speak German there. Came back. That was a trip. Then my next trip up, I flew to Oregon, which is in the Pacific Northwest of America. Worked there. It's still a relatively new area in the world. When I say new, it's 50 years.
Yeah.
50 years ago there was nothing. Now there's a incredibly founded,
it's a thriving wine industry there.
And the Pinot Noir and the Chardonnays, they are gaining daily much more respect. There's incredible wines being made there, and today better than ever. So I worked in Oregon, came back, worked a season here, went and worked in California. Had an amazing time in California. Love California. I was, it's God's country. The climate, the weather. It's to grow anything in California. It's an incredible place. Then came back, worked in France in a season in Burgundy. Then went down, and then ended up working in Spain. And then Spain hooked me properly, and I stayed in Spain for 10 years on and off, and we created a project there, myself and my partner at the time. And then when my eldest son was on the verge of turning 13, I realized now it's time. I should have been home a long time ago. Because I had to then forge our relationship and the whole thing around succession. I had to really put in a lot of time into our children. So then I had to kind of call it off. But all of that was about almost 15 years, 2 harvests a year. So I did 30 harvests in 15 years at that point. Jeez, and when you ramp up the scale of contact, because you only with harvest, you only get one chance a year, and most of the time you mess it up. So at least I got more opportunity, more contact time. So my learning curve was huge. And just all the things. And I traveled Italy extensively, never worked there, but love Italy, Portugal, really spent a lot of times. I was either, when I was not working there, when I had time off or whatever, I was in a vehicle going to see the top wineries.
Incredible, man.
I still do it. I still, every year, every second year,
when
go on a big trip. And I just get my dose in again of people that don't take any prisoners. They just produce incredible wine. Yeah.
Amazing. Well, congratulations on that journey.
Luckily I married the right woman because this could easily go the other way. She allowed me, Maggie allowed me to do all of that because she knew I had to kind of do it. She realized that I had a bit of a restless search, and now I'm happy to be at home.
Well done, man. What you will notice is that, and maybe something that we can share with our audience here, is that Palladius and the Columella are probably your biggest brands. Am I right to say that?
No, absolutely. They, I've been very systematic with things. So when we started to produce wine, I like to give wines at least a 10-year focus. Like no distractions, because it takes about 10 years to find a wine. So we started with Columella in 2000, and we started with Palladius in 2002. And for 10 years, we only really focused on these two wines. And the whole concept between the wines is The wine world is mesmerized by single vineyards and single varieties because it's like easy contact points.
Okay.
People want to drink Chardonnay.
Yeah.
They want to drink a Chardonnay from that vineyard. It's that familiarity. And it's easier to sell that, and it's also easier to upscale the value system in the value chain, because there's always this perception that single vineyards, single wines, they better than other wines. But it's, for me, it's not. That's not the notion. We wanted to produce something that could be. We wanted to produce a great red wine ambassador and white wine ambassador, and we wanted to produce two wines that to the best could represent the region of Swartland. Okay. So, and when you want to make a wine that should be a representation of a place, you got to include all those main soil dynamics of an area.
Yes.
So the soils that's prevalent in the area and important, they need to be in that wine. The varieties that's important need to be in that wine.
Okay.
So you can't exclude things, because then it's not a true reflection, then you're becoming selective again.
Yes.
So we include 7 different varieties in the red wine of Columella,
Yes.
From about 5 different soil types. And then we include in the Palladius 4 different soil types, because there's one soil type on which white wines are not really phenomenal at. So we have 4 soil types, and we have 22 different vineyards in here with from 14 different varieties. So this is a huge dynamic. So these 2 regional wines came together, and it's a little bit like, for me, also like South Africa. We have 11 official languages. We have culturally such a dynamic in the country, and if we can just learn to celebrate all of that, I think we'll be much better for it. But we're trying to, we need to mend this thing a lot more and actually celebrate it.
Absolutely.
I mean, it's like we all fill each other in, and the grapes are the same. You know,
Yeah.
Marsanne and Roussanne and Viognier in small quantities can give incredible aromatics, but they don't have structure, they don't have backbone, they certainly don't have acidity. Yeah. But then another little grape like Claret Blanche, that's unknown to the mass of the public, that has Claret Blanche have incredible acidity and linearity and focus to it. If you combine that, now you have something that's got front, middle, and back.
Yes.
And then every grape that gets added. So the 2 wines were really designed to be regional ambassadors.
Yeah, like a representation of the space that these grapes come from. So you always knew that the Palladius was going to be a blend? Or did you sort of discover certain grapes that, wow, this could be interesting? Because I know there's been different iterations of the blending components over the years.
The wines they're still developing. Okay. So we are by no means finished with this journey. It's an enormous journey. Palladius was the first multi-varietal blend in South Africa.
Wow.
There was a culture in the early 2000s to blend at times Sauvignon Blanc and Semillon, which is basically a white Bordeaux philosophy. Yeah. But we were the first guys that took Chenin Blanc, Grenache Blanc, Chardonnay, and Claret, and like the unusual suspects, and made a blend out of it. So it was kind of the first wine that broke that barrier.
Incredible.
Was at the time almost impossible to sell. We didn't make it easy for ourselves. But again, as I've said, it's for us, it's the same thing. A lot of producers plant Chardonnay because they feel there's a placement on a wine menu that's under Chardonnay, or there's a address on a shelf in a wine shop, Chardonnay, and whatever. So people plant Chardonnay, or they plant Sauvignon Blanc, or they plant Merlot. But what if your soil and your climate is not suited to that grape? Now you're planting a grape, and the only consideration for your decision is basically economical consideration. Yeah. I always say you must plant what belongs. Okay. Make the great wine, and then hopefully sell it. And not the inverse of, this is selling, that's why I'm planting it, and I'm going to try and make it work.
And that's very useful advice to aspiring winemakers
Yes.
there. Work with what's best for where you are located, isn't it?
Yes, because if you're going to, there's so many people producing Chardonnay, so if you're going to produce a marginal Chardonnay, you actually put yourself in the worst potential position to have a sustainable business and an activity. Because you're just going to produce another meek average Chardonnay, while there's these incredible Chardonnays out there, and there's so many of them. So from a position point, I've never understood that notion.
Wow. Well, cheers. I mean,
cheers.
Like, while we enjoy
Thanks
some
for
of these
opening
familiars.
this.
No,
Yeah.
I mean, we
I
had to.
work with my family. I don't get a lot of wine. Family. You don't get fired very easily, but you don't get promoted very easily either. So.
You worked for decades,
So at least I get to taste some of my wine.
Cheers, man.
Yeah. 2017, 8 years in.
Yeah,
It's what we consider a great drinking window.
I think so. Would you say this is the kind of wine that people can keep for quite a long time because
They
it
can.
continues to evolve?
Our wines are known for their longevity. Given that the corks in good state and quality, but and we're doing a lot of work on the corks because they are best friend and our worst enemies.
Yes.
They can lead to the destruction of the wine, but it is what it is. There are new alternatives being built in the world, and we are busy researching them. We're bottling under also the new type of corks, and we're just laying them down because it's not an instant decision. We need to see how the aging and all of that happens. So this needs to happen over the next 15, 20 years.
20 years.
And then we'll be able to make a good decision. But yeah, our wines, you can drink our wines when they're young. But I believe when they're 8 years, eight is a very good number, but it's not just the number I apply to our wines. I mean, I drink a lot of other wines.
Yes.
From other producers, other spaces in the world. And we have an extensive cellar. I'm very privileged to be able to have a great cellar.
I mean, congratulations on that. I think you finished construction, was it a year ago?
Yeah, a year and a bit ago, we finished the final constructions of the cellar, which was the biggest. So, but in that, obviously, for the first time, we have all our own. We've always kept a lot of our own wines back. So we have a big cellar in there that's called the Vinotheque.
Wow.
And in that
amazing, man.
Vinotheque is every single wine we've ever made.
Yes.
And we've kept quite a number of bottles back to also evaluate ourselves. And then actually deeper into the ground, under that, there's another cellar. We call it our alien cellar. It's all the wines that's not our own.
The alien cellar. Okay.
Yes, and
I should visit because the last time you took me around, it was still a construction site.
Yes.
Yes, and
Which is a nervous thing. Construction. Yeah, you must come back, Lloyd, because
I
it's
will.
finished now. Everything is working. Everything is as it should be.
as it should be.
There's
Congratulations.
a lot of attention to detail in the entire place.
Okay.
And the building was also built with a lot of dynamics from environmental aspects, energy efficiency, water
Wow.
efficiency.
Wow.
It's
Great
it's
technology.
not a living thing, but the building is as close to living as it can be. Just
And
all the
I
articulation.
imagine this is something you built with the intention of having it last for the next 100 years.
Absolutely.
This is going
I hope
to
longer.
be that art piece.
But yeah, it was built with the best materials that you can find. Construction is any person that's even just renovated the bathroom knows how impactful it can be. So I said, we're going to do it once and never again. So, but to have all the wines of the world, even the wines that we collect, I normally like to drink. Whether it's a Brunello de Montalcino from Italy,
Yes.
them I might even wait a little bit more. But the Pinot Noirs from Burgundy, the Chardonnays from Burgundy, the wines from the Loire, the Chenin Blancs from the Loire. I like to drink wines, to start to drink them when they're 8 years old. And then you get like a good sight into it's where the first of the aging characteristics start meeting the intrinsic primary characteristics of the wine. It's kind of the way the two worlds meet very well. 8, 10 years, 12 years, it can be for some area spaces in the world. And then your aging character starts to become a bigger character in the wine. And it reveals other dynamics in the wine. But so I always say to people on drinking points, 8 years is a good time.
Yeah. Now, Eben, I would like to ask you something, because I think everyone in the wine industry understands that your wines usually purchased through your vineyards, your company rather, through an allocation system. Now, can you elaborate for would-be buyers how that system works?
It's we have an incredible we're in an incredible privileged position where, but it's also something we prioritized, and it was definitely it took longer, and it was a much more difficult system to build. It was not the easy road. I've also learned the easy road rarely leads to great things. So we've been able to build this mailing list. It's not a mailing list, members list. We call it our members list. So people, you become a member at our winery. And obviously when you're a new member, you can't expect to get the most allocated wines from the inception. But if you join our member list in the first year, you're going to get 2-3 different wines. And as the longer you stay in the list, the more your list will get populated. You have no obligation to take the wine. So when your allocation comes to you, we've developed pretty solid software. You get your allocation from us once a year. We only send to our members 1 letter a year, 1 email. That's it.
Wow.
I'm not going to send you photos of my little puppies and my new car that I've purchased. Not that I'm into cars, but we're not in that business. You get a letter from us in a year. In that letter, we tell you everything that happened, all the great things that happened, all the bad things that's happened, all the mistakes we've made, all the things that we actually did right in that year. And just a very frank letter of what the standing is, a little bit what are we busy with, a little bit of a future forecast of what we'll be focusing on next or whatever. And you go on, you click into your members portal, and you can reduce. You can't add wine to your basket, but you can take wines off. If you don't want them. And so a lot of our wines get sold like that. But we also recognize that we're not aligned with all people. We also allocate some of our wines to the finer distributors, companies in South Africa. So they will then go and break out the wines to their clients again.
I think I've seen that, the likes of Norman Goodfellas, some of the major redistributors in the country.
Norman
do sell your
Goodfellas,
product.
Grey Domains, Rueda, Wine Cellar, Wine Concepts. There's like all these retailers. They're all extremely specialized. Because we can't give our wines to people that don't know what's going on in our wines. So,
no, absolutely.
And it's not just a trading item. It's not just a monetary thing. It needs to be properly presented and communicated. So we work like that. And then obviously we work with fine establishments like the Saxon, where there is a proper sommelier like you, Lloyd, that actually knows how to get a cork out of a bottle. Without breaking it.
Without breaking it.
So,
you're very kind.
Yeah, and you've known our wine, so I can send anybody to the Saxon and say, speak to Lloyd, and I know that you're going to direct him to the wine in the perfect drinking condition, in the perfect glass, at the perfect temperature, and that's how you want. That's all part of the transaction. The transaction's not just, there you go, off you go.